work out, and that's part of what it is and what I've got to do a better job with. We've got to play, better complementary football. We've got to do a good job of being able to help ourselves. We did that at certain points tonight where, we punted the ball inside the 10, 2 or 3 series in a row. We're able to win some field position, but ultimately weren't able to kind of sustain that. Even into the third quarter where, we're within a 2-score game and really kind of, disappointing. And I talked to the guys just about it, where we have a penalty on each side of the ball that really hurt us. And, those things that happen are, wind up kind of making us reel a little bit and having to score and an outcome the way we did.
When your team's at the point it is right now, how do you continue to try to build confidence, play with personal pride, and not allow doubt to start creeping in?
Yeah, well, it's a hard thing. I mean, we've talked a lot about what doubt, looks like and feels like, and it's been a tough season. It has, and we try to go through each day and try to be the same person each day, and that's what I talked to him about tonight. I do see growth, and I do see us getting better. We've got to be able to find ways to sustain those things, and like I said, I've got to do a better job as the head coach making some decisions there, and I've got to do a better job, obviously, trying to get our defense ready to play, and so but ultimately both of those things fall on me, and but I do think our players, again, I didn't see any lack of fight. I didn't see any lack of want to. I didn't see a bunch of undisciplined penalties and things like that. But I've got to do a better job through the week with them and giving them a better chance.
I think it was 2 first downs in the second half offensively. I guess in some ways it goes back to the consistency question. But how do you get I guess more sustained success offensively?
Yeah, well, I think we've got to certainly continue to work on having the different looks and things that we've got to do. Real challenge is like you think. I mean, 3 weeks ago we wind up, changing and having to change a coordinator. We go right into the Wyoming game, and then we go into the open week, and I thought we made some adjustments, how we signaled and how we were able to, create some tempo and get in a rhythm. We got to keep looking for things like that so that we can find the incremental growth that we're looking for.
Kind of mentioning like doubt. Does it feel like things can snowball right now within a game, just given everything that's gone on? One thing can lead to another, and all of a sudden.
Yeah, for sure it can. I'd be whatever coach speak if I sat up here and told you that it didn't. But we've talked a lot about that throughout the week. I'll say this, as we go through the second quarter and as we get into halftime and we're in the third quarter, and like I said, I think there were about 5 minutes left in the third quarter. We were, somewhere within, 2.5 score game, and I think that we didn't have any doubt at that point. I think as obviously it gets closer to the game and we're out of it, those things do come up. But we've got a great group of kids. We've got a good group of coaches that are sitting there working through it. And, like I told them there at the end, we can either, take one approach, which says we're going to get better and we're going to continue to work. And we're going to continue to try to work on those things that are going to help us win. And then we can take the other approach. We can point fingers and we can be upset and we can have hissy fits. And that's just going to create more problems. And so at the end of the day, we're trying to find ways to solve problems and give ourselves a better chance to win. But it's something that we work on each and every day, and we'll continue to.
Do you still challenge yourself to keep playing aggressively the way you want to? And I'm sure you talked about some decisions. So you look at that point, you go for it on 4th and 1. It's a 10-7 game at that point, and then that kind of starts your thing. If those are the things you're looking at, how do you balance staying aggressive and not getting safe?
Yeah, well, I think ultimately you still, we take analytics, we look at all those things, and then you still got to be able to try to go with your gut. I knew that they were a high-scoring offense. They're top 15, top 20 offense in the country, and I thought that we certainly needed, when we had opportunities to sustain drives or to be able to, steal a possession, that we needed to do that. And that 4th and 1 was one where I felt like we needed to do it, and it didn't work out. So ultimately, just winds up not being very good and poor decision for me. I still want to play aggressive. I still want to be able to give our guys the best chance to win. I still want to figure out ways that we can create rhythm early in the game and continue to try to sustain it, as you spoke about earlier. And if we can do those things and put those things together, we'll give ourselves an opportunity to win.
Start of the third quarter, you guys obviously get the stop, get good field position on the punt, and then just a couple days later, you guys missed a field goal on there in the end zone. Is that kind of what Kevin was talking about, the snowball effect, where one little thing can kind of lead to a couple plays later you're there in the end zone?
It can, and that's where, we've got to continue to look at those things, and we've got to continue to try to grow from them, We've just talked a lot about what is the truth. And I think, when you go through difficult times and you're trying to lead and you're trying to follow, then the truth is what really gives you a chance to be able to look at it and be honest. And so I'll kind of start every day by saying the truth is this: we did these things well. The truth is this: we did these things really poorly. The truth is, like you said, we have one thing happen and then two or three things happen, and we wind up not being in a very good position at that point. And that's where it gets hard. And like you said, that's what the truth is. So we've got to find ways to kind of put those fires out quicker. And that's the truth. And we've got to be able to find ways to help ourselves. And I've got to, for me, again, I've got to do a better job with the defense, and I've got to do a better job of finding ways to be able to put those fires out as quickly as possible.
UNLV obviously had a pair of explosive plays tonight. What can you do this week to help going forward to limit those explosive plays for the rest of the season?
Well, I think there's a couple of things when it comes to the explosive plays. Like I said earlier, I've got to do a better job of making sure that the system in place that we have gives us the best chance to be able to do that. I thought in both scenarios, both of those ones that happened early in the game are both my fault, and so I've got to do a better job with them. I think that's the best way to prevent them from happening in the future.
You mentioned after the bye week that you wanted to see progress. Obviously, you did score-wise. Did you have a mental benchmark going into this game, and how would you kind of reflect on the progress that you did see?
Say it one more time.
So after the bye week, this Monday presser, you mentioned that you wanted to just see progress from the team. That was the main goal, and you did score-wise, obviously.
Yeah.
Did you have like a mental benchmark going into the game? How would you kind of reflect how it
No,
went?
well, I think this. Same thing I told the players when we were in there later. I did see progress. I did see us be able to take a lot of the things that we've worked on and continue to try to build off of, and I thought we were able to do that. What we've got to do a better job of is playing disciplined and being able to sustain those things. And so, kind of to the point everybody's making, I mean, we are getting better. I know we are, and we've got to continue to work to give ourselves a chance here. But if we try to focus too much again on, what 2 weeks looks like or 3 weeks looks like or 4 weeks looks like, we've just got to figure out how to have a good Sunday tomorrow. And we got to try to figure out how to have a good Monday. But I do see progress, and I do think that we were able to hit a lot of those goals. Obviously, we weren't able to sustain them throughout the game.
And then the theme of progress, I mean, Jace had a great game, Mitchell had a great game. I mean, what are some messages that maybe you have for, guys that went out there and really performed?
To the individual players, I thought they played well for sure. I mean, I think that we had a lot of guys that continue to. I think to your point, we have good players. We've got guys that give us an opportunity, and I think that's where you see like Owen Long. I mean, is a good player. Obviously, Lamadre Joe is a good player. Those are guys that are at the top of the country defensively in the national statistics, and those guys had good statistics tonight. I think Jace had his 4th interception tonight. In the last 4 or 5 games. So we try to be able to look for, again, guys that are playing well and continue to be positive with them.
Yeah, and you also brought Darius in these past 2 games. Do you kind of see trying to bring him in a little bit more for the rest of the season?
We'll see tomorrow. I think DC's done really well. I like DC a lot. He brings a spark to us for sure. I thought JB played better tonight than he did the week before, and we'll continue to work with both of those guys and build packages around them that we feel like give us the best chance to be successful.
In the midst of a hard season overall, how do you continue to push positivity to your group, and not just defensively, but just the whole team?
Well, you got to live it. You got to live it if you're going to be, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I was trying to say earlier about just what is the truth. So the truth is I've got to do a good job each day of being able to go through and help those guys the best way I can. I try to do that. And so I think that they can see phony in a hurry. So as long as I can continue to get the guys to believe and continue to see progress and see growth, and as long as they can continue to trust me and what I'm trying to do as a leader and trying to help them, and then they know I care about them, then I think all those things will work themselves out. Okay? All right, thank y'all.
Thanks, Tyson.